Alright guys, here we are with Calvin's car. We just got on the lift. This is going to be the initial teardown to see what it looks like after it's arched down. So right away you see we have a messed up bumper, quarter panel, broken lens, beat up wheel, and from the looks of it, it's gonna look like some of the suspension is bent up. Exhaust took a little bit of a hit, heat shield is bent, liner completely cracked. But we're gonna do a little bit of a tear down right now to see what all the damage is. The gap on the door to the quarter looks like it has not closed more than usual, so that's good. If you guys look, it looks like this rear suspension is kind of sitting like this, so that's kind of bent up. But once we take the wheel off, we should be able to take a better look at the suspension. The rear body panel, the whole rear valence done, heat shield, this bracket right here, the whole rear bracket. Oh, that inner structure. Right height sensor. That's the whole inner structure, huh? Whole wheelhouse.
We're gonna see what they're up to over here. They're checking out a car over here, Calvin's car. See, it's perfect.
Calvin!
I told you it was perfect.
Pop the hood. Oh, it's actually a lot worse than I thought. It is. This isn't as bad. Like I didn't know. This all has to get chopped off. Whole new panel. Yeah. But that's pretty crumpled in it. Yeah. And the airbags did not go off.
No, it must have hit the sweet spot where it didn't hit the, you know, the sensors.
All right, so we're finally gonna go ahead and start to work on Calvin's Supra. We're waiting for some parts, so we're gonna send the car over to Throttle so they can kind of inspect it now that they're gonna be the new owners.
What do you got there?
This is your car.
How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kevin, but you can call me Russo. On today's video, we are fixing Calvin's old Supra. This thing took a nasty hit to the rear valence panel. The rear tub extension is pretty banged up. Fortunately, we got new ones that we'll be swapping over. So the car is already on the frame rack. We're gonna go ahead and do our initial pull, clear the quarter panel off of the tailgate because it's pretty bad right there, making contact. So let's go ahead and get set up for our initial pull and get ready for the teardown. Alright guys, so I went and got off the rear crash bar, removed the wiring for the backup camera, the sensors, so we should be clear up in the rear in order to start extracting these panels and get ready for the pull. Beforehand, we have to go on the inside and remove the factory Toyota / BMW amplifier. Move some of the wiring over before we can go in there with our chains, pull everything out and get it as straight as possible so we can get those factory gaps as close as we can. Amplifier was a bit tricky to get out. Pocket where it was tucked under was the extension that was hit. The mounting bracket sits all the way inside there and it was pretty banged up. Had to shimmy the thing out. Luckily no BMW components were hurt in the process. Now we still have a ton of wiring to get out the way. We don't want to pinch anything, cut anything, or break any connectors. So before we do our framework, we got to get all this out of the way. Okay, so we went ahead and got set up for our initial pull. Car is chained down to prevent this from moving. Unfortunately, the way the body is set up, we cannot attach the frame towers on it to secure the chassis down, but we are chained, so we'll be good to go. As long as we're able to clear this gap from the quarter panel to the hatch, fine, we can start taking rear valence off and remove the rear tub and hopefully get into some body work and straighten it out as best as possible. Now, while we have that tension on the rear extension, we're gonna go ahead and hammer out some of the high points and some of the creases to get it straightened out a little easier. So let's go ahead and mallet those away. Okay, so with the first two initial pulls, we were able to clear the gaps a little better. As you can see there, the trunk actually closes now, and it's not sitting on top of the quarter panel. Could use a little more pulling. So let's go ahead and rearrange chain, get set up for another pull, and hopefully we can get this thing off the rack and start tearing this beautiful Supra down. Okay, so the rear panel and the extension have been pulled out as much as they can. Next step will be welding a plate on the body line of the quarter panel. As you can see, it was sandwiched flat. We do have an extra light pocket worst case if we need it. But we are saving the quarter panel, so I'm going to be trying to be extra careful to not damage it anymore and get it back to its original shape. Let's see how this goes. So we have a tradition here now. Whenever we weld, we like to have a spotter on Firewatch. Jose will be working the spritzer today, so thank you for looking out. Okay, so we went ahead and did maybe about 5 pulls, 2 on the bottom tub extension and 3 along the quarter panel and 1 by the pocket. The gaps are a little better than they were before. So since we have our initial pull out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and remove all the factory seam sealer, find our spot welds, drill them out, and start extracting our panels in order to make room for the replacement. Let's jump into it. Okay, quick update on the panel removal. Some of these bottom spot welds have been grinded down thoroughly all the way. On this section, I am able to drill through without being concerned about the back plating for my welding because we are going to change out the tub. So I can drill through these freely without any concerns. Same for the top. This is where I'm going to be welding. On this side, again, remove caulking, expose the spot welds. Some you can drill through, some I wouldn't recommend. So we still have a long ways before I can remove this. Let's keep going.
The next day.
Good morning, guys. We got some progress update on the Supra. Mr. Russo himself is inside the car right now, finishing taking off the air tanks and all that stuff. He loves being in there. How's it feeling there?
Of course, it's a tight space. It's not designed for big people, I'll tell you that.
But you've been in tighter spaces.
Oh, of course.
The tighter the better?
Uh-huh.
Or the looser the gooser?
Uh-uh.
So he already got everything pretty much pulled. I think he already went over some of the damage that we kind of came across. We're gonna replace this panel here. We're gonna be pulling this so we can body work everything. Pocket, we got this separated. We were thinking that obviously this rear body panel is called the inner portion. Obviously we were able to separate it from the other structure, but what we're thinking, we're gonna have to still continue to separate it more so that we can weld it onto the rear body panel, so that when we put everything together, everything lines up. So he's in the process of taking stuff apart there, and we'll continue with this thing and get this thing wrapped up as soon as we can. We've got the exhaust. To be taking the exhaust as well, so we can kind of access everything down here. Just keep twerking away.
Several days later.
Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. We're back on the Supra. Grinding, literally grinding. Russo is gonna finish up getting all this area prepped here. Still gonna have to do a pull here to get everything you know, right, but already prepped everything, the rail where everything's gonna get welded. We're still gonna have to separate this panel further to weld it onto the back rear body panel, but we're getting some progress done. Got all the other stuff out of the way, which is all the air lines, electrical, all that stuff, in order to, you know, do what we need to do. After that, we're gonna go ahead and kind of latch this to see what the gaps are gonna be, make sure all that lines up, and if obviously we need to, we're gonna have to separate here the taillight and pocket so that we can make sure the taillight fits, and then also see how all the gaps are. So it's a good Monday. What do you think today?
Hopefully tomorrow, once everything's mocked up, welded in place, then we follow up with cavity wax, seam sealer, and primer. So we're not there yet, but we should get close enough.
Let's knock it out, baby.
How's it going, guys? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Today we have the bumper, rear valence, and the left extension mocked up. The tail light was mocked up already, but I went ahead and took it off so I can pull out the quarter panel a little more. Unfortunately, that's all the quarter panel is going to give us, so we have to go in and do some cutting, re-welding, and adjust it to where it's supposed to be. So it'll be Russo spec, no biggie. So now we proceed on to taking off the rear panel, cleaning up our areas, and prepping for welding. We will be using a copper weld spray to protect our surface from rust. We will be following that up with cavity wax to prevent any further corrosion into the panels. Once everything is nice and ready, we will be sealing it back up with factory spec seam sealer. So once all these things are done, we will be able to get into primer, do a little bit of body work on the quarter panel, and hopefully get this thing into paint later this week. So stay tuned and we'll see how this thing turns out.
All right, guys, so we've got this thing all set up, measured and pulled. Got the new rear body panel, went ahead and welded it on. We got the extension panel, went ahead and welded that on. Now we are still waiting for a couple supplements that we have to go ahead and send out for some of these other repair areas. The insurance company opted to not replace the quarter panel. You know, we went back and forth with them many times to actually just replace it. They didn't really want to replace it. We still have to do some more work on this outside right here to actually fix all this stuff. But other than that, things coming out real nice. We should be done with it here within the next couple of days. All right, guys, so after all the welding and pulling, getting it on the frame machine, we got the bumper mocked up, we got the tail lamp mocked up. Now we still need to do some body work, right? This is just all straight metal work. Kevin over here knocked it out of the park. This was supposed to be a replacement, okay? I told the insurance adjuster from the get-go, hey, this is a replacement. I wrote it up as a replacement. He said, oh, you can fix that. And okay, technically you can, right? It got fixed, but this should have never been that. It should have been a replacement. This is a brand new car. Why would you want to do all this work when you could just literally just replace the quarter panel? But anyways, we went ahead and did it. And pretty much all metal work. You can see that the freaking bumper lines up almost perfect. We are gonna do a little bit of bonder work. That's just because when you're welding and stuff like that, the panel could get a little bit wavy. Now, it's not really that bad, but we wanna go ahead and make it perfect like OEM. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of body work next and get it ready for the guys at Throttle. So pretty much just cut all this out anyway. This thing is literally gonna get cut out and a Street Hunter is gonna be born after this, guys. But here it is. Here is the final metal work. It looks great. Kevin, you did a great job.
The next day.
All right, good morning, guys. We got some more progress on the Supra. El Ruso himself. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. He's lining up everything, doing the body work. It's our first little, like, very light skim coat of Marglass to kind of get everything start shaping. As you saw before, pulled all the metal out, made sure we welded all the holes, got everything all. Look at this guy. And he's talking shit about TJ, and look at those legs. The no leg day. We pretty much did our first pass. We're kind of lining everything up, mocked up the bumper. We're gonna do another little glaze pass to make sure everything kind of flows and fits nice, but everything's looking good, so we can send it back to Throttle and they can do their thing. But Bruce, what do you think? Was it fun or was it harder than the other Supra we did?
It was a little more challenging than the first black Supra we did. On the first one, we actually swapped out the complete quarter panel, which was a lot easier on our end for the repairs. This was pretty tricky. We had to cut, re-weld, big metal process, but we got it.
This is where the body, the real true body man comes in.
Stretch now.
So here we are, glaze pass, get some primer on it, and voila. All right, so time has come. We finished up the body work, the rear body panel, mounted the bumper, got everything all nice. So it's off to Throttle so they can mount the wide body, and then from there they'll bring it back and we'll do our magic. So let's get it on the tow truck. On the way to you guys. We'll see when you get back here at SOS Customs. We got you covered.